things, we're here to talk about them today, the honest truth about them. And the honest truth about them is, it doesn't actually matter which plectrum you use, it's more about you as an individual. So let me explain, let me talk about it. I've used 3 different plectrums across my 18-year career of playing guitar so far and teaching, obviously, among all of that. But I get asked all the time, oh, which plectrum do I use? What's the best plectrum? All of that sort of stuff. And similar question and answer to the video I did about electric versus acoustic. I always find it's very similar. And that is, I always think, right, what is the game plan? What are you aiming towards? What's your playing style? What kind of music are you into? What are you going to be playing live, or what are you going to be writing? That sort of thing. And it can really kind of differ based on what plectrum you use, based on that information. So, for example, if you're a strummy acoustic player or a bit more of a funk rhythm orientated player, I'd probably naturally recommend a bit of a thinner plectrum, probably even something like what I use, which is the orange Dunlops, 60mm. They've got a bit of bend to them, which is really helpful, and that can be really nice because there's a lot of give when you're strumming the strings. There's a lot of give and a lot of spank from that, which I really enjoy and I really like to use. I didn't ever used to use these, by the way. I used to use 2mm Jazz 3 plectrums, which are an extra razor sharp point on them, because I typically play like heavy punk, metal-ish kind of orientated music. So I thought for years if I had heavy gauge strings and heavy plectrum, that would be the best kind of sound for that. I was incredibly wrong my entire life. I was incredibly wrong. And now I use the orange Dunlops, like I've just mentioned, and I really enjoy the spank and the give and the natural kind of tone of the string that you get from using them, even when playing heavier genres of music. I know that Misha from Periphery, for example, a really heavy prog metal band, uses a similar gauge plectrum, or did use. And when I heard that, and when I seen that, I was like, oh, maybe there's something to it. And there most certainly is something to it. So my experience is that I've used a 1mm plectrum for a few years, a 2mm plectrum for a few years, and then all the way back down to a 60mm plectrum after a few, 0.60, not 60 because that would be 1mm, 2mm. Ignore everything I just said in that previous pod. But yeah, so I've used those 3 different plectrums, and I've found what works for me, what sounds good for me. It's the same as string gauges and types of guitar. So my recommendation would be, plectrums are cheap. Buy a handful, buy a multi-pack, something like that. I know there's stuff like that out there that exists. Spend a good 2 to 4 weeks with one plectrum. Play it every single day. All the normal things you would normally play and do, see how you get on with it, see how you find it, then switch to another one, do the same, then switch to another one, do the same. If you really want to find one that feels the best for you, that sounds the best for you, all plectrums sound different, all plectrums feel different. It's all about unique to the character, unique to the person, and what your preference is. Don't ever let anyone say, oh, this is the best plectrum, or this is the plectrum you should use, because it should always just be what feels good and what feels right to you personally at that moment in time, alright? So I hope that makes sense, I hope that helps, and once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.